All right. Hello, everyone. Ever since I have started this campaign, I've been having people ask me why bother to do this in Wyoming. My short answer has been that people need representation, and so many of us aren't getting it. But it's also not so much a question as it is an assertion. This idea that someone who is really for the people can't possibly win in this state. If we are going to change that, we need to change it together. So, welcome to Awkward July. That's what we're kind of jokingly calling this internally in our campaign because so many of us are currently having these really awkward conversations with people in our lives. And we have to do this because talking directly to other people who know and trust you, who know that you share their interests or that you have their best interests at heart, this is actually the best way to get folks who might otherwise not vote motivated to do so. There is actual data behind that. But it is really awkward, especially in Wyoming, where we haven't elected a Democrat to represent us in DC for decades. And a lot of people feel really hopeless about that ever changing. So we get that. I got into trouble in a women's group I was part of a couple years ago for politicizing things that some folks didn't think should be political. At the time, what I said was that politics is really just how people do or don't get their needs met. I still believe that, and it's one of the core reasons why I am running for office. So, this month is a chance for us to talk to folks who have not been getting their needs met and helping them find reasons to get politically active. Right now, we are focused on voting because primary voting is beginning, and that's the way to get people into office who care or even know that we exist, honestly. It is not everything we need to do. Protest matters, public education matters, organizing in unions and tenants' rights groups absolutely matters. So many things are important, and there are so many ways to actually be pushing back on the disenfranchisement that people feel. And right now, it's time for voting to be on that list. So today, I am asking you to vote. If you have not yet ordered your mail in ballot for the primary, you can do so today and really anytime between now and early August on your county's website. And I'm also asking you to do a second thing, which is to have some awkward conversations. And I don't just mean replying to a post on Facebook or Twitter or watching somebody's TikTok and sharing it. Everyone who works on my campaign is doing this right now, and we can confirm both the awkwards and the effectiveness. So, I've started conversations with a small business owner who came to install a new wood stove at my house, whose business was really hurting from the Trump tariffs. Nate has been messaging people directly to open up conversations. Sean's been reminding friends who switched to Republican to vote for Charlie Hardy that it's time to switch back so that they can get the right ballot for this primary. Dana has been using her reputation as the plain speaking political nag in her circle of friends to make sure that everyone knows about our campaign. And Dee has been doing really careful prep ahead of time so that she feels more comfortable and making sure that she has materials ready to share with folks. So, regardless of what it looks like for you, though, we need to start talking to people we are close to. This idea that we're not supposed to talk about politics, that it's like impolite, is one of the ways that we keep people from knowing what they need to know to actually advocate for themselves. This isn't about you saving anybody or me saving anybody. It's about self advocacy. This wall of silence on political talk keeps us all locked into not having the conversations we need to have to motivate ourselves and motivate other people. So, we are asking you to spend the next 6 weeks breaking that cultural taboo and talking about politics. Early primary voting begins today in Wyoming with the sending out of mail in ballots. We are blessed with having a really long voting period for both our primary and general elections here in Wyoming. And in the age of COVID, that's actually really great, both for democracy and for public health. And that nice long window, it doesn't actually do us any good if people aren't motivated to use it. So, the way elections usually go is that it's a lot about name recognition and it's a lot about party affiliation, right? And so, unless we do something to interrupt that cycle, it's going to be determined by that again. The people who have the most money to get the biggest signs and the flashiest ads and the most paid for attention on social media and in traditional media like radio and TV, they're the ones who are going to walk away with it, and it will probably be the richest Republican who wins that. So, unless you want to spend the next 6 years hearing Cynthia Lummis, Senator from Wyoming, we need to wade into some uncomfortable territory right now and talk to people directly. We started working on this campaign over a year ago because we knew that that was what we were up against. We knew that our people, the 99%, the ignored, the folks who have been pushed by our economic and political systems to the bottom of the priority list over and over again, they needed to hear that someone was actually in this for them. We knew it was going to be hard to get the word out about that without a really big budget to just throw money at it. So I've spent the last year active on social media, and we've created an amazing collection of videos that together paint a picture of what an actual progressive agenda for Wyoming could look like. Before the COVID shutdown happened and we weren't able to do traditional campaigning, I was also out there having conversations with people around the state. And I know that many of you have been backing me since I met you, and I deeply appreciate that because we need to be pulling together as a people who are usually erased in Wyoming politics and working to get one of our own into office. So today we're actually launching this new little mini initiative that we're calling End the Erasure. We all know that Wyoming politics has really only served a narrow demographic, and the rest of us have been erased over and over again. So today we name 8 groups of people who we are specifically focused on representing. Black, Latinx, and Indigenous Wyomingites who are called whiners when they ask for things as basic as not being killed and harassed by the police, or just ask to have their rights for self-determination recognized. The LGBTQIA plus community, immigrants, and people with disabilities who we rarely hear anything about in Wyoming public discourse. Young people who need a post-carbon reality if we're going to still have a livable planet for them when they get to be older adults, and also need a livable economy. And finally, workers who are actually the engine of that economy, but whose needs for healthcare, living wages, and worker protections are simply ignored most of the time. When you look at that list, this is actually most of the Wyoming population who has been erased. We have been asked to wait or told to leave the state if we don't like it, or simply never acknowledged. So let's end that erasure starting today. We do that by backing the only candidate in this race who centers marginalized and struggling people in their policy advocacy. And you look for the candidates in other races who also have that orientation. And then it goes from being a nice sentiment, let's not erase people anymore, to votes at the ballot box if we are all in it with our awkward conversations right now, this week, before people get their ballots and start filling them in. So the bottom line is, if they don't know I exist, they won't vote for me. And that's where we all come in and get into these conversations. So we are trying to make this as easy as possible. We have flyers on our website for starting conversations with low-wage workers in different industries, for instance. We have many topic-specific videos here on Facebook and YouTube to share, to open up a conversation on any number of topics. Email your favorite video or message it to someone and ask them if they've heard of me. We have Yana for Wyo bingo cards that give a fast summary of my platform, which is also on our website, along with a 10 myths document that can help you clear up confusions that people may have about my scary socialist agenda. We also have merch that can help with that. And so I'm actually sporting one of our new t-shirts right now. And so I have this beautiful design on them. And then on the back, it has our slogan, "A Senator for the Rest of Us." We've got stickers for your water bottle. We've got stickers for your car. If you live in a high traffic place, I don't know if you'll be able to get this on camera or not, but we also have yard signs that you can put up in your yard if you're in a place where a lot of people would see it. We would really appreciate that. And finally, we have this that's off brand from the rest of it and was specifically designed by young people for young people. It is our campaign zine. So all of that can help. And if you don't know who to try to talk to, you might be sitting there going like, I don't know who I'm supposed to be having these conversations with. We can help with that too. So we are phone banking right now. It's every Thursday. And we just hand you a list to work from of Democrats and independents. We have support for that. We have scripts and we have companionship to do that particular really awkward work. And it's not that bad, actually. Once you get into it, I find that it's a little hard to get started. But once I start having conversations with people, it's actually not that bad. And sometimes you have some really awesome conversations with people. Okay, so one other awkward thing that needs to happen, I need to say, paid for by Yana for YO. I want to say one other little piece though. In the end, though, there's nothing to change the fact that this whole thing is a little bit awkward. I need you to be brave about this and to do it in spite of that. I don't get a chance to fight for you if we don't get me to DC. And this week starts that voting period where we're going to decide the Democratic nominee and who's going to face off with the Republican in the general. So seriously, folks, if we can win this if we get enough of us to the polls, and that starts now this week. So thank you so much for all of your support, and I am looking forward to being in this with you as we move ahead. Thanks.